Here's an individual. He's 37 years old, but he only has 28,000 saved for retirement. He can only save around $350 a month. Will he ever be able to retire, he wonders, because he keeps hearing he needs to have one times his salary at age 30 and three times at age 40, and he hasn't even saved half of his salary at age 37 because he makes about $67,000 a year. How is he ever going to be able to have enough money to retire? Let's actually run some numbers for him. Again, he has $28,000. He's age 37. He can save $350 a month. 50. And he waits till age 67. That'd be 30 years from now. Uh, what do his numbers look like? Now he figures he needs about 5,000 expenses right now. It's about 80 some percent of what he's currently spending, but he figures it might be a little bit less than that once he reaches retirement. Anyway, he's running at 5,000. So over the next 30-year period, given a 3% inflation rate, he's going to need 12,136. Now, we haven't taken into account Social Security. Well, folks, he's only 37 years old. How in the world is he going to figure that out? Well, actually, Social Security has a calculator. You can find it at SSA.gov or SocialSecurity.gov. You just type in Social Security Quick Calculator and you put in your birth date. In this case, he's 37 years old. He's making $67,000 a year. You click on see what your benefit estimate will be in today's dollars. So that's all we simply do. And you click on that, and this came up. So at age 67, he's going to get 2,467. Okay, that's what's projected based on this 67. That's in today's dollars. So we need to realize that 2467. Let's go back up here and put that in this box right here. 2467. Now that's going to grow over the next 30 years. A lot of people don't realize that that grows every year. Social Security gets a COLA, so this what he's going to get at age 67 is also going to grow because remember we ran it at running at today's dollars. So that's what it gave us, 2467. So we want to go and project ahead. So at age 67, that's this 2467 is going to more than double to 5175. And since he's taken at age 67, he's going to get 100% of that. If he took it at a different age, like 65, he'd get 86% of that. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and run it that. So now we see his future expenses, his future Social Security. So he's going to need 6,772 from his nest egg when he goes to retire 30 years from now. I want to show you his numbers, folks, because these may not look that impressive until you actually see what it'll amount to. And folks, look at this. We run it for every single year for the last 100 years. These are the numbers we use. Returns for the S&P 500, all the ups and downs all the way through here. And we look at the worst case scenario and the best case scenario and everything in between. And folks, after 30 years in the worst case scenario, that's this column right here, you're going to see he would have $975,000 saved up. Isn't it amazing? He'd basically be at $1 million. The median in this column for all those years would be 1.409. The best case scenario could actually have as much as 3.553. But we want to really key upon this, not just the worst case scenario, but maybe the worst 10%. That means 90% of the time your money would last in this column. But right now, this is the time period that your money would last. When you reach retirement, would it last over 40 years? In other words, will you not run out of money? If you retire at age 60, let's see, 67 here. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and run these numbers here. Worst case scenario, he would not run out of money if we add the worst returns and all of these. So this is the row we're looking at here. Let's go ahead and change this a little bit. Let's say if he retires at age 65, does that change anything? Nope, still lasting over 40 years in each of these worst case scenarios. The worst case, worst 5%, worst 10%, worst 15%, in the last 100 years using the data. Watch what happens when we go to age 64. Now we're starting to have an issue where in the worst case scenario, if he retired at age 64, remember he wouldn't be getting this full amount. He'd be getting 80% of what that would grow to. This 2467 would grow to 4805, but he would get 80% of that. So in that case, in the worst case scenario, money be running out in 23 years. worst 5% of the time, you'd run out of money in 26 years and 29 years and 32. So you can see the significance of staying with it for a couple more years to have your Social Security grow, but also what's most important is for these amounts to grow. This 28,000 is 350. If you want to try to retire at age 62, that's when he's really going to run into problems. In the worst case scenario, his money would only last 10 years. In the worst 10% of the last 100 years, your money will last 15 years, and the worst 15% will last 17 years. But that's how that works. That shows the crucial principle you really need to understand. You need to really leave your money in there, let it compound for as long as you can. If you can let it go for 30 years, we saw no problem in any of these time periods. Start cutting that down to 28 years, still no problem. It was an age 64, which is 27 years, letting that compound. That's when you start having issues. But again, folks, this isn't a worst case scenario. Most of the time, you'll be just fine. If you look at this median column, you're going to be just fine. Well, let's go ahead and do, again, age 62 is when we really had a problem here. Let's do one more thing. Maybe encourage this person. How about increasing that by 3% a year? There's $350 a month, because over the next 30 years, if he goes to age 67, he can probably increase that a little bit. Let's just increase it by 3% a year, and notice how these numbers change. I am going to go back to 64 just to show you. These are the numbers. If I change that to a 3% increase each year, watch how these numbers right here change. Now it's lasting over 40 years. Isn't that incredible? Just increasing that by 3% a year. As inflation goes up, your wages are probably going to go up. The $67,000 he's making is probably going to go up. And if he could just increase that $350 a month by 3% a year, then even in the worst case scenario, the last 100 years, he would not run out of money. But folks, that's what we do in this channel. We love to run numbers for people, just showing them where they might be in the future. We love to look at all kinds of different principles that you really need to understand, from the sequence of returns risk, the importance of your asset allocation, the impact inflation can have on your nest egg. In this case, we just simply looked at how Social Security can impact your financial planning, and how just increasing it by a little bit can really make it work for you, even in the worst case scenario. Again, that's what we're using. We're using returns like the Depression type years. Look at these returns, and also the year 2000. And even in those scenarios, he would not run out of money if he did this $350 a month and increase that by 3% a year. Let me just do one more thing. Let's increase it by 2% a year. Okay, now the money's running out. And in the worst case scenario, it still lasts 31 years. I said age 64 again, folks. Again, if he can make it to age 67, he's going to be in great shape. But even in this case scenario, if he wants to retire a little bit earlier, just increasing that by 2% a year, and look at that, his money would last in every scenario, except in the worst case, it would actually run out in 31 years, but he'd be 95 by then. So I think this is a really good scenario. Again, 28,000 may not sound like much when you're age 37, when everybody's telling you should have 2 and 3 times your salary. But in this case, if you're just steady, plodding along, letting compound interest work for you, these are the kind of numbers that might work out for them. Again, that's what we do in this channel. We love running numbers for people. Please consider subscribing. Please share with others. Let them know about this channel. Let them know that we run actual numbers for people, and we just absolutely love doing it. Thanks so much for watching. Please let people know about this channel. Please like the video.